Welcome to our first episode of The Cutting Edge. So I'm Justin Garlow, Director of Business Development, one of the owners here at Ford Office Technologies. Josh, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Josh Gerson, one of the owners as well, and president.
And finally, Jonathan Garlow, CEO, part of the ownership team here at Ford Office Technologies.
Well, I guess we're all here today to talk a little bit about the history of Ford, how we got started, and it was our dad, your uncle Josh, that really got everything rolling here. So,
Yeah.
I guess give us some history, because you were older than us when he started the business, so you probably have more memories than we do.
Yeah, and I mean, I was pretty young as well. So as far as the ins and outs and whys, I don't know that any one of us would know that. But I can remember you guys were still in diapers, and I would be taking apart old copy machines, categorizing the screws, baby food jars. I don't know, it was good times. What is your guys' first memories?
I think my earliest memories are, I don't even know where the office was. It wasn't at the house yet. Or maybe it was, but it was a different house than what we grew up in. But yeah, it was the copiers and playing with screwdrivers and finding these chains and stuff. And it was like the coolest little toys. Other kids had Legos. We had pieces of copiers to play with,
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it out 119 going towards Mount Pleasant out of Connellsville? There was a red store off to the right going towards Mount Pleasant, and then there was an old karate studio.
Yeah, so that you're talking about the old Tasty Freeze in Connellsville. It was on the right-hand side. We actually, it caught on fire before we had it. So I remember out there cleaning up all the old glass and getting it ready for us to move into. But yeah, I do.
I don't remember which one came first, but
And then there was a meat packing plant on Moyer Road. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it must have been the Tasty Freeze and then the meat packing plant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember, man, we had some memories there.
I know.
Shooting a pellet gun into some wood, and I accidentally put it through a new copier. It was just,
I don't remember that one.
yeah, it wasn't good.
It's crazy when it's come full circle now, because we have, our own kids that are about 4, and yours are...
They're already involved. Yeah, they're here during the summers and on the weekends coming in, and not quite to the level we were. I mean,
no.
We were put to work. I mean,
no doubt.
We were service techs. We were salesmen.
Scrubbing panels and the deep sink and getting everything back to shiny, making sure it was good enough for a customer to use.
Yep.
Yeah, then we went back to over to Ladies Lane where the house was, and it kind of really started to expand from there. Was that's the next thing that I really remember.
Yeah.
I remember building that out. I mean, that was just a piece of land. I mean, out there chopping down the trees, clearing the land, starting forest fires. It was fun times. Didn't you cut your leg with a chainsaw or something?
That was many years later. He was like 15, 14. I don't even think my mom knows about that yet still. So
you still got a scar, probably.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good cut.
Oh, yeah. Went clean through the jeans. Yeah, but we... kind of started in the basement there, and then moved up to above the garage, and then, building the bunker. But there was always something to do. It wasn't even office, copier, office technology related 9 times out of 10. But, it's kind of what grew the business and kind of what grew, I guess our work ethic and into, kind of how we do it now. But you started to see it really take shape from that, from that basement to... you started getting some real contracts. So it wasn't just a small business that someone in the back of their car is running and, going around fixing a couple copiers. You started to see, what was essentially like a dream to come and start to morph into something real, a business, and, start to get some employees with that, help really form this, what Ford is today. You went from a couple guys just doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, initially in the basement, even before it moved upstairs, you had essentially, it was me, Dale,
Yeah.
You guys on, occasionally, and then Ryan. I remember Ryan. But
Ryan, yeah.
That
Good
was
Lord.
it.
I run
Like,
into
it
him
was-
once in a while at things.
Well,
and
then Nick. There was a Nick
Mijakovic.
Nick Mijakovic. Yeah,
I remember the name. I don't remember. I can hardly remember the person.
that was it.
Yeah. Well, and, Jonathan mentioned work ethic. I think at the time, our dad built this thing. He didn't know much outside of work ethic. That's all he had. So when he was looking for people, I think that was one of the key indicators whether they would be a fit here or not. Dale would be here in the morning at 7 a.m. changing oil in the cars and then moving upstairs to do the finances.
Yep.
And then out on sales calls and then networking events through the night. He was a 12, 14-hour a day guy.
And just, like how the technology has evolved, I remember those calls would come in on a pink piece of paper, had, the white, yellow copy, handwritten,
The
couldn't
old
read it half the
carbon
time.
paper, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, printed up on the dot matrix there.
No, not initially. Initially, it was a lot of that was handwritten.
Handwritten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
So, I don't know, it was always tough to read. And then, of course, he'd get mad at you when you had to ask because can't figure it out. So you never wanted to ask because...
So you just guessed.
guessed, yeah.
Yeah, the technicians would come to the office in the morning. They'd, get their pile of calls and they'd be off.
They had a cup of coffee, then hit the road.
It was before the time of cell phones or, any of that. So
It was before the time of Yetis. I remember them leaving with a mug in their hand and driving up that gravel driveway that's bumpy as heck. I don't know how they didn't get it all over themselves.
that probably should be talked about too. The winters were hell.
Oh, yeah.
You'd
Yeah.
have to be out there pushing cars up
The box truck got stuck at the underground building because it was all a sheet of ice. You'd back it up and just take it as a ramp.
And just talking, even, saying about the cell phones, I remember having to pull up to the payphone to call in.
clear a call,
and, like as soon as you were done with one call, you had to call back from a payphone, clear that call. And then, I had my pile of calls, but I had to check in case there was something that came up that was an emergency that I needed to.
I guess I didn't know
divert
this
to.
thing. Josh, I didn't know that you went on service calls.
I did, yeah. Sharps, man.
Oh, yeah?
Mostly, yeah.
you had a whole thing. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that.
I used to carry a tackle box
It's
full
a
of stuff.
toolbox. Was it the vacuum toolbox?
It was a tackle
No,
box,
it's
a
tackle
fishing
box.
tackle
that's what
box.
they
Yeah.
wrote with.
Oh, wow.
They had gears in there, like different gears, different
Gears,
screws.
feed tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The machines are easier to work on nowadays. Much more like units and stuff, but back then it was gears and chains and belts in the back
And
of
the
the machine.
maps to get to the places because I was a young kid. I didn't know how to get anywhere.
No GPS.
No GPS. Yeah.
Certainly taught me a way with with roads right now though. I know my way around
Yeah.
this whole southwestern PA into West Virginia. I mean, you just tell me a relative location, I can get there.
For sure.
Taught you something.
Then there was that gray Astra van we did a lot of the deliveries in. You remember that?
Yeah.
I do.
I remember that probably differently than you do.
Vividly.
Yeah.
We were in the back of that thing rolling around a few times on our way to church or
No
wherever we were
seats,
going.
nothing, yeah.
Wherever we were going. It was. And then he did have to bolt a seat in the back, I think, at one point, and it wasn't the original seat for that truck.
Yeah.
Looked way out of place.
Yeah. It wasn't at all.
It had a sunroof too.
I don't remember the sunroof.
I don't know if he cut it in or
Oh yeah.
because it wasn't standard.
No. There's you don't find a Chevy cargo Astro van that has a sunroof. Like this doesn't exist.
Then upgraded the van a couple of times to the big conversion vans with the TVs. So that was a nice one. That green
See,
one.
that was different though. That was when the business was taking off pretty good, and it wasn't used for deliveries anymore. It was still used for entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pick up a couple of the guys and go to the networking events or whatever they were,
Yeah, that's when it started really. Yeah, converting there was when he got into the conversion vans away from the cargo Astro van. But yeah,
That's how you knew we were converting into a business.
Yeah, so you start picking up on a client here, and then I still remember Westmoreland County was one of the second or third big clients that we landed, and just having all that equipment delivered back to the house, and we would have to. You couldn't drive a semi, down the road there, so we'd have to come over to the parking lot where we're currently at.
It was the old Burger King over there parking lot that they would drop the truck in, leave it for like 4, 5, 6 hours, however many hours, and we would back the box truck up to it, kind of lean the gate on their truck and make a ramp to our truck and just roll them down.
Roll them down.
Yeah, he had to do that for a while, and then just kept going. It was like one client after another. Even into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was always a struggle too to get into. We weren't authorized with one of our legacy providers, Rico. They wouldn't give us the authorization to be able to take down.
It was a school district.
Yeah, maybe West Mifflin. So we had signed up with Sharp, and Sharp was, back then it was an okay product, but it was only the means to be able to get into Allegheny County for the authorization. So they got us there, and shortly thereafterwards, Rico authorized us. Kind of kept going to pick up Canon. Shortly afterwards, was that a couple years?
Yeah, Canon was
mid 2000s.
Yeah, it was like, for some reason I'm thinking like 2006.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it
Sounds
wasn't.
right.
Yeah.
And then Bob's story about coming down, Tomzik for Conica coming down the
To
driveway.
authorize us,
Thinking
He made a wrong turn.
Made a wrong turn.
Yeah,
somewhere.
that was many years ago. That was actually with Rico. Probably
was it Rico?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
probably like 93-ish. And he was coming down the driveway. That was over at the house. But yeah, he almost turned around because he didn't believe that it was
could be no
business down
legitimate
there.
business,
Right,
operating out of his house. Yeah, but that was many years before the Canon authorization. In Sharp, I want to say it was around 2002 or 3. And the only reason I remember that is we ended up getting the contract for West Mifflin, and I had to go deliver the equipment. So we're delivering this large color copier up a flight of stairs in this
I know
old
this
school
story.
building, and it's the middle of summer. It's hot. I'm with one of my buddies, and we're on summer break from high school, and this color copier had, I don't know, it was probably at the time maybe a $20,000 unit, big color copier. Went end over end. We got almost to the top of the stairs, and this thing went end over end down the staircase, and completely just annihilated.
trashed
Annihilated. I
Pieces everywhere, glass all over the place.
we rolled it onto the lift gate and put it in the truck, and then we just
At least you didn't try to put it in place.
Yeah, oh, good Lord.
I don't know what's
Nothing
wrong with it,
happened.
right?
Yeah,
Went to
it
the
worked
graveyard.
before it came here.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty.
But that's why you have insurance, though, right?
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, that was a bad day. But yeah, that was around the 2002, 2003 time frame. And then, fast forward a little bit, I was in college when we picked up Canon. So you're right, probably 2006, somewhere in there. And then just continue to keep growing through that Pittsburgh marketplace. That's when we had that Wexford office.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
In the basement with
yeah, right. Prestigious,
Yeah.
first operations in Pittsburgh.
2 windows in that place, and
Yeah.
they both looked at a retaining wall right outside of the sidewalk.
It's depressing as hell.
We had that open for a while though. That didn't close down until what?
It was
12, 10,
honestly
12?
the location itself wasn't bad. Wexford was up and coming. It was an easy way to get to Cranberry and Pittsburgh as well. But yeah, it was.
Actually,
it
it was probably
just-
13 or 14 before that closed down.
Yeah, it just wasn't the look that we're looking for.
Well, I mean, even when you look around here, it's just as we continue to grow, you start to create something. You start to create a brand image, and be able to take this through our Erie location, take it in our Pittsburgh office. It's all decorated similar fashion. So Youngstown, same way. It's just shit you don't think about. Starting the business is it's like, where's the next client coming from, because you need that revenue to keep going. And
well, the equipment's changed a lot too. I mean, you look at what the copiers themselves used to do back in the 90s, and
that's 100% good point. How did we even get from where we were back at the old Tasty Freeze or the meatpacking plant to today, and 34, 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what copiers did. They just copied.
They were just copiers. Yeah.
And then, as that progressed and started to print and scan, it was really natural progression for us into the
We'd start getting the
IT
calls
space.
like, hey, it's not working, it's not scanning, it's not printing.
Yeah.
Well, wait, is it working?
Your copier stinks.
Right, right,
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, actually, it's your network, right?
Those first copiers, you have to put, it was a network interface card. They called it a NIC card, right?
yeah.
And if it didn't have that, it didn't scan or copy. But I mean, just the
Remember
difference in
the-
technology.
The
Yeah.
Right,
They had scan once, print many is what they called it whenever it was finally digital, right? Because when they were analog, it was...
it literally had to scan. Like
When was that? Like 97?
that had to be somewhere around there, yeah.
it was before. Well, the digital probably yes, but yeah, prior to that was.
You should have seen some of these things. Some of the units that we've taken out. I mean, there was I think it was a Xerox or a Toshiba designed unit where the copy stayed still, the glass stayed still, but there was this whole scan unit that sat in the middle of the machine that moved back and forth to scan the whole piece of paper.
Yeah, no, I know. That's the way it had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we would get blamed for so many IT problems, or like this thing wouldn't work. Yeah, granted, they were unreliable back then. Don't get me wrong. The technology, I mean...
You can't always say, hey, it's on your IT department, because sometimes it wasn't, right?
These things were, it's a mechanical device. Think about like, having your washing machine. Well, they're all connected now, I guess,
Right.
but
An
it just was
automobile
not
that is,
fine-tuned.
that is
wasn't
running
as-
your network, right?
Yeah, exactly right. So, in an environment where IT infrastructure wasn't
A thing.
it wasn't as developed as it is as it is now, or plug and play as it is now, and you're plugging in a copier before Y2K.
Yeah, exactly. And even talking about the sensors and stuff, those were all mechanical sensors too. It was a button that got
Right.
pushed in, or there was
The
nothing.
solenoids firing and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah, I
So yeah, I 100% get the call. Your copier stinks. It's not. Well, yeah,
But
not really.
yeah, we were solving a lot of other people's problems though.
Right.
We would go in and diagnose a bad fax line that the cable or the cable
You
company.
used to have to carry a phone. You
Right.
remember that? You
Right.
have to plug it in and.
Test the line.
to see if the
That
line
was-
was
yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
we
That
would
was
be
the only
getting-
way to test a fax line.
I mean, this is prehistoric IT almost. It wasn't that long ago, really. I mean, it's just you look at that. I mean, we were diagnosing a lot of those problems anyways, and you fast forward to the progression of that, and over the years, as networks became a thing, and we were fortunate to have some of the best homegrown talent, probably that our area's seen.
100%.
And
Yeah.
they're working for a copier company. So as we continue to progress into that IT field, I'm surprised we didn't do it earlier. I mean, banging my head now that wish we would have jumped
Yeah,
in.
well, it was we were just doing right by the client.
Well, it was
That's
always
exactly right.
it was
That's
always
exactly
about
right.
the mission, and maybe we didn't always know what our mission was, but it was always about unparalleled customer experience.
we would
do
just
right by
do
the
it.
client.
Yeah, we would just do it.
Exactly.
It needed done. We would just do it, and
Anytime they had a bad experience, and if it was at all tangentially related to our machines, we would try to fix it for them.
yeah.
I think where we started this conversation is kind of why our dad got into this, and the mission, what he had initially, and I'd venture to say that it still has something about fun in there somewhere, but probably parallels a little bit of the mission of where we're at right now. I would think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think we've strayed too off course. Make sure you're having fun and serve the client the right way. I mean,
Work hard, right?
Yep.
Serve the client and have fun while you're doing it.
Yep. Yeah, I would say, those are a lot of the cornerstones and pillars of why, kind of bleeds into, what we're doing here. We help businesses thrive
Yeah.
first and foremost.
Yeah, very much so. We've, again, thinking of those early days to what we are today, still a lot of the same, the MFPs, copier space, but I mean, just, how we've moved into just an all-encompassing tech company. I mean, it's a lot of similarities, but in the same breath, it's almost unrecognizable from where we were. It's unreal. Just, the other side of this wall, what we have going on over there is, especially in, our area, our neck of the woods here. And
tons of horsepower in the IT department.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Yeah, but you say that I'd put us up against some of the best talent in Tampa and Miami and New
100%.
York.
Agreed.
I don't even look at our local competitors as peers with on the same level or trajectory of where we want to take this thing. I think we level the playing field when we come in on a bid or that kind of stuff, and it is what it is. But when you really want to talk talent and an overall encompassing solution, I think that when you couple our years of experience in the copier space, right? We're not a fly-by-night company. We've been doing this for many years. We've worked out the kinks of it. We got the backing of not only copier team, but then we have the IT support to come alongside it and create a total office solution. So it's really different. I think we're playing in two different fields. You got the managed IT service providers, and then you have the traditional copier providers. And when we blend that together and create a total office technology solution, it just no one's going to be able to touch that.
No, yeah, and even a lot of our peers, not necessarily competitors, but our peers across the country. I just don't think they have it as figured out as we've been able to do. We go to these conferences and, I hear a lot of headaches and heartaches that I feel like we've...
Not to rest on your laurels, though.
No. But I don't know, I guess I'm proud of how far we've come in a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah, you're right. That's a fair statement. Even if you do look at some of our national peers, they've been around 60 some years, and you look at our total, from infancy, and I compare it to like the Jurassic age to the Age of Enlightenment to on a global scale or a more massive scale. Then you look at our short 33 years in existence, and
that little microscopic
exactly right.
timeline,
It's just exponential the growth, and
It's kind of mind blowing. I think it's 4,000 clients now. It doesn't happen by accident, but at the same time, it's sometimes take a step back and just think how we got here.
Yeah, it's intentional. I mean, you look at a lot of these other service providers. We have the wherewithal to make sure that we're...
What's the word?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, intentional, I think, is the word. I mean, you're exactly right. It's doing the right things by the customer, right? There's never been a thing, people say, it's a small customer, it's a small opportunity. That doesn't exist in our lexicon, right? We don't use that word. Small customer is not a thing. Everybody deserves the same treatment. Yeah. And that's kind of the ground up foundation that, our dad helped build. Yeah,
sorry, I got distracted there.
It's okay.
Where I was going with that is, we've strategically targeted some of our peers that we were either looking to acquire, partner with, whatever you want to call it. I mean, to be nice, call it partnering. But when we're looking at the client base that they have, we know that we can serve them that much better, and implement our billing solutions into their environments, and implement our meter collection tools, and implement our service experience with them. And as we continue to roll up to get to 4,000 clients, it was very intentional in making sure that we're finding the right people to, acquire their businesses and carry on their legacy the right way.
Yeah. And, talking about intentional, it's not just through acquisition. I mean,
no doubt
we've strategically opened offices. You mentioned earlier our Youngstown branch. We're intentionally moving to areas of growth, and so I agree. It's a very intentional thing that we're doing here.
Well, and I go back to the beginning, right? Like when I was young, I think people would ask when you're 12, 13, 14, what are you going to do? What do you want to do when you get older, right? Like I always said, I'm not sure, but I don't think I want to work as hard as my dad, right? Because he would be out the door at 6 a.m. and he wouldn't come home until 2 a.m., right? And now people, like, my wife asks me, like, okay, you're going to Erie tonight. What do you got tomorrow? And I got a networking event. I got this, I got that. And I sit back and think about it. I'm like, I don't think there's any other way, right? I think it requires your full-time, full dedication. And that's something that, without even knowing it, that's something our old man kind of instilled in us. Hey, thanks for joining us for the first couple episodes of The Cutting Edge here. Really what we want to do is tell the story of Ford, a little bit of the history of the company, what brought us here, the reasons we do business, and share a little bit about technology, but mainly about the people. So, thanks again.